Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been forever, but I did want to check in here and touch base with y'all and see what's going on. And you guys might be wondering, did she fall off the face of the earth? And pretty much, sort of. I have deleted all my social media. Um, I was going on a social media break for 2 weeks at the beginning, but then I think I just enjoyed it too much that I just never really came back. So my Instagram, my Facebook, it's all deleted. Well, not deleted, deactivated to be exact. But yeah. And honestly, it's been pretty good for me, for curing my phone addiction partially. But I still have YouTube. I do still have YouTube. And that's the one thing that's keeping me sane. But yeah, just to give you guys a check-in, I guess I'm partially back in tech. And maybe you guys already saw that coming, maybe you did it, but um I think my last couple of videos, it was kind of all over the place. I don't know. I think a couple of videos back I mentioned that I'm not back in Vancouver. So that's one thing. I actually started my online master's in cybersecurity. So that's been something that's been really great for me in terms of just expanding my knowledge. I haven't been in school, well, like official like college school since 2021. So it's a bit getting used to doing assignments and quizzes and labs and things like that again. But I'm just taking one class at a time and it's asynchronous, so I don't have to log in and be on Zoom or a class at a certain time, which makes it really great because I actually am working full time as well. And I wanted to do something where I could work and study at the same time. I didn't want to take out loans. I wanted to just, be able to find something that I could afford and I could do part-time. Still accredited, still a full-time degree. I'll graduate probably in 2027, but something that I could have that flexibility to study and complete my degree, but I didn't want to put my career back. Like I wanted to be able to work as well as I study. Maybe I would get something like in cybersecurity specifically, but even not, I just wanted to be able to do higher education. It was something I've always kind of wanted to do, but at the time, there weren't a lot of options available. I think after COVID, maybe that's when a lot of schools started offering more flexible options, and I kind of jumped on it when I did see there's something out there like that. Um, I really didn't want to take 2 years off, put myself into debt, live on campus, and do that whole experience again, and then have to repay loans and stuff. So, wanted to do something that had the flexibility and wouldn't put me, in a financial crisis, knowing how schools are so expensive these days. So yeah, that's something that I'm doing. And then I'm also sort of back in tech, but not as a software engineer. That was what I was doing for the past 3 years, pretty much when I was working. So if you guys had followed me from the beginning, I first started out as a digital design intern at Best Buy. Then I was a software engineering intern at Nordstrom and worked for SAP for about 3 years in software development. But I really did miss a lot of the people interaction, especially during my years at SAP. It was fully remote, and that was a bit challenging for me, especially when I was onboarding and stuff. I found that the in-person part was pretty helpful for me when I was, working some of my other jobs. But it was during COVID, so I really love the flexibility of being remote, but I think that I sort of missed in-person interaction a little bit. So going back into sales, I had a lot of that, and then I really enjoyed it. I think back when I was in high school and college, I was in retail sales. I also was a brand ambassador all throughout college part-time, so working at conferences, trade shows, conventions, things like that. And in a really just kind of grew my skills in that area. And then when I was in real estate, I was practicing things like cold calling, door knocking, and prospecting all the time. But I did kind of miss a little bit of getting to use my technical skills and knowledge. So that's kind of how I found myself in my position now. I'm now in tech sales. Yes, it is an interesting combination. It's still a lot of the sales skills, a lot of cold calling, a lot of prospecting, but I do get to be able to use my technical skills and knowledge a little bit more, being able to kind of understand where customers or potential prospects are coming from, some of the technical challenges they might be having, and how technical solutions can kind of help them, whether it's through automation or it's some sort of integration that can just help make their current tech stack operate a little bit better. So yeah, I'm enjoying it for now. What's a typical day like in tech sales? So in a business development representative role, which is the one I'm in currently now, it's a very outbound, like hunter sort of role. So it's not a lot of like, things handed to you. You have to kind of go out there and get business. So then you're usually assigned a territory, like maybe it's a couple states, maybe it's a certain country, and then you go out there and find people that meet certain requirements. So depending on what your ideal customer profile is, you will go out and target those mainly through phones. So I would be dialing all day. You do some research on them. You do come up with some list of questions that you would typically ask. But let me tell you, cold calling, it's the Wild West out there. So it's not the easiest thing. It's a different kind of stress, not really project-based stress, as if you're in like an engineering sort of role. But you do get a lot of rejection. You kind of get some rude people at times. And even when you do have somebody on the phone with you, knowing how to sort of um, guide a conversation towards what you're trying to get to. So you have to be pretty concise and know the product and kind of know where they're coming from. It's an interesting level of, communication, and it requires some skill for sure, and it's partly a numbers game too. So yeah, it's a lot of prospecting. Mainly cold calling gets the most results, but there's also some LinkedIn and emailing required too. Maybe some creative strategies. So yeah. And then for the tools and technologies that are used in this role, um, a CRM is pretty helpful. When you're working for a more established company, they probably use something like Salesforce. And then for other companies, HubSpot is very popular. Some not super established teams, they use anything from like Monday.com to, more smaller CRMs that they custom have. So it kind of just depends. And then Zoom Info, they use that to get, contact information for people they're trying to reach out to. And then some other tools too, depending on what the company chooses to use, like some for recording phone calls so we can review it afterwards, analyze what could we do better, things like that. So, but it's nothing rocket science, like once you kind of have a good base or feel of the tools, it's not too bad to be able to manage them and know how to use them. Mainly just to keep track of all the contacts you're dialing through, making sure you're taking good notes and stuff, because it could be, 50 different people that you're talking to on a daily. Like there's no way you would remember that all in your head. Or even if you write it down on a piece of paper, that's not very organized. You need the other team members to be able to take a look at it too, making sure that, you covered everything. And then I guess for pros and cons, the pros, I would say, it's not very project-based work. So, work is done when it's done. Like, who are you going to call after 5 p.m.? Even after like 3 p.m., I would say, their time, I find that the later it gets, the ruder people get on the phones a lot of times. So I would not try to call a prospect right when they're about to walk out the door on a Friday afternoon. Like that's not a good, time to pitch them on something. So that is a pro, but it can also be a con where every day your performance kind of resets, like it's not project-based work, but it's a different kind of stress. And I would say another pro is that you really get to hone in your communication skills. Like I said, like it's a job where it really practices a lot, like thinking on your feet. And then I feel like you gain confidence after you do it for a while. It is a tough gig, but if you can talk to strangers on the phone, I feel like there's a lot of things that you can do. Like, what else would scare you? Like, that's probably the coldest kind of prospects you're ever going to interact with when you're, calling people on the phones. But yeah, and then, um, yeah, I think a lot of these pros, they also come with the cons, like cold calling. Sometimes you do get pretty rude people that pick up, and then you get unhinged people sometimes too. Like I had one coworker that got an email. It wasn't even a phone call, it was a cold email, and then the person literally said to off yourself, like, and I was like, okay, like that's probably borderline illegal in some states to say that. Like that could be interpreted as a threat, but it's just the Wild West sometimes. You get all sorts of people out there. You don't know exactly who you might be talking to. I mean, you know their name, you might know their title, but besides that, it could be anybody that's picking up the phone. And then there's also a lot of gatekeepers. So especially when you're trying to reach people that are higher up in a company. It's unlikely that you're going to reach them on the first try. They might have an assistant, they might have somebody that's answering the phones for them, and then trying to get past them, or even just getting to the person that you're trying to reach, that can be a challenge in itself. So, it's a lot of human psychology work too, and just trial and error, a lot of practice, and learning as you go. In terms of interview process for these kind of roles, I think being able to tie in like similar or applicable transferable skills, if you are an athlete, if you have ever worked on any sort of sales team, if you had your own business, if you prospected for new business before, that's something that is really good to kind of bring up. How you organize your prospects, things like that. When you like I guess like sales pipeline, how you can explain how you get a lead in through all the way until the closing stage. That's something that is useful too. But yeah, it's just um kind of trying to tie in applicable experience, and then showing and demonstrating how that could help you perform well in that role. And overall, I think that in this phase or season of my life, I'm not trying to do too much, like um it's a season that I kind of want to just scale that down my life. And that means just like not overwhelming myself with too much, which is a challenge for me. Ever since I was in school, I feel like I don't really know the meaning of free time. I'm always trying to stack things on my plate, always trying to add more things. And that can be really fun, but it can be stressful too. So I'm just trying to, you know, figure out what are the key things that I want to focus on, and then not going too much above and beyond. There's always more that I can strive for, but at what point, does that kind of compromise on, your stress levels, your health, your work-life balance, your other relationships in life. So, yeah, it's something that I want to prioritize, like the other things that are important to me besides just work. So, yeah, learning not to put so much pressure on myself, and then just exploring things, trying different things. Um, I feel like a lot of times it's expected that career path is just linear, but I actually find enjoyment trying out a bunch of different things, and seeing what I enjoy, what I don't. So there's nothing really wrong with that. And then in the season, I just feel like um, I value a lot of other things too, like being close to family, having work-life balance, good relationships in life, prioritizing peace. So yeah, I think I don't know what exactly that looks like. Maybe I don't have all the answers for this, but it's something that I want to be more intentional around, and then not burn myself out. Um, and then who knows where my life will go. will I be in Vancouver forever? Who knows? You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is just one phase of my life. Each experience that I have, I feel has taught me a lot, and I feel like I get something out of every job or experience that I have. So, just try to make the most out of it, and then I'll talk to you guys whenever I get a chance. I am trying to prioritize a lot of other things in my life. So haven't been on YouTube too much. But if you guys do have other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and we'll stay in touch.